in boxing right now. Johny Navarette has made a living trying to thwart the development of fighters just like Zsolt Daranyi. It should be an interesting main event, and it is coming up next. So let's send it up to David Neiman to meet the fighters.
Ladies and gentlemen, the stage is set for our feature bout of the evening. Now making his way down to the ring, please welcome Johny Navarette.
Johny Navarette, Estado de México. Pues ya de familia, mi papá fue boxeador, mi hermano es boxeador y a mí me gustó el box. Empecé desde los 10 años, ya tengo 25 años entrenando box. Pues es algo que siempre tiene uno motivado, llegar a otro país y ver que me vean pelear. Me siento con ganas de hacer una lucha. No, así que no lo he visto, pero creo que ya arriba en el ring siempre es el primer round de estudio para ver qué trae. Pues yo creo que siempre, en todas las peleas que he tenido, siempre he sido unas peleas que voy al triunfo, voy a todo lo que traigo y creo que la gente va a estar contenta con la pelea que vamos a dar mañana.
Well, this is a very familiar situation for this man, Johny Navarette, taking a fight on 4 weeks' notice with the expectation that he'll give a tough fight to the hometown favorite. It's a role that he's played here in Canada many times against some of the most successful Ontario fighters of this generation, such as Sammy Vargas and Castillo Clayton. Navarette has halted the progress of many a fighter throughout his career, most recently upsetting the 20-1 Hironobu Matsunaga last year in Mexico. Johny may not enjoy the level of acclaim as his cousin Emmanuel, the 3-division world champion, but his role in the sport is equally as important, and a win tonight for Johny would feel just as sweet for the fighting Navarette family. Johny Navarette, 35-19-2. 19 of those wins coming by way of knockout.
And now making his way down to the ring, please welcome Zsolt Daranyi.
My name is Zsolt Daranyi. For me to go in there and prove to everybody that I'm the best, it's an amazing feeling. You know, I love to do it. You know, for this one's a big one for me because March 11th is the day my little sister passed. So my birthday is March 10th, and then she passed the day after my birthday, and it's gonna be 4 years on March 11th. So, you know, because that's another reason I want to become world champion is for her, because she always believed in me so much. She always told all her friends, oh, my brother's a boxer, he's the best, he's gonna be world champ. You know, she always believed in me so much. She even asked to keep some of my trophies in her house when I moved out, and I said, yeah, of course, take some. You know, she was one of my biggest fans, and she believed in me the most. So I need to prove to her and prove to everyone that she was right, that I'm gonna be world champion. And that day is gonna be for her, that victory is for her.
It is an emotional night for Zsolt Daranyi as he walks to the ring on the anniversary of the tragic passing of his little sister Sabrina. Daranyi says that he wants to be able to turn this day around, change it from a day of mourning to one he can celebrate, as Sabrina was his biggest fan and even collected some of his awards and trophies up until her final moments. Daranyi has long been tabbed as one of the next breakout stars from the Canadian scene and has had stints on the international circuit. But it all starts at home for Daranyi and his quest to fulfill those lofty expectations placed on him by his mentor Lennox Lewis and the community at large, as we see Daranyi entering the Owl's Nest. And Steve, I know that you know Zsolt Daranyi maybe better than anyone.
Like I was telling you earlier, Corey, I seen him on his first day in the gym. He used to babysit my kids when I was fighting for world titles at Casino Rama. He's been in this sport a long time. He's seen me train at the highest level. So this kid, and now he's traveling with the Grants in Montreal. He's seen around and been around as well as Lennox Lewis. So this kid has all the right people around him to become a successful world champion.
A homecoming for Zsolt Daranyi. Our main event is upon us. Let's send it up to David Neiman.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Owl's Nest here in Brampton, Ontario, Red Owl Boxing and DAZN proudly present the main event of the evening, scheduled for 10 rounds or less in the welterweight division. This bout is sponsored by Aero Facility Management, Power Staffing Solutions, Soberman Goldstein and Associates, and the Aero Group of Companies. Sanctioned by the Ontario Athletic Commission, Commissioner at ringside, Luke Kotick. Your timekeeper for the bout is Jim Monkelbon. And our 3 judges scoring from ringside, Jasper Kujavsky, Jeremy Hayes, and Martin Dalida. And once the action begins, our referee, an amateur champion and former Canadian Olympian, Mark Simmons. And now, for everyone here in attendance and those watching at home, we are at the Owl's Nest and live on DAZN, and the time for talk is over. Here it is, the war to settle the score. Introducing first, on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, and tonight wearing black trimmed with silver. His official weight, 151 pounds. He enters the ring with a record of 35 wins against 19 defeats and 2 draws, 15 wins coming by way of knockout. Hailing from San Juan Zitlaltepec, Mexico, ladies and gentlemen, damas y caballeros, presentando Johny Vaquero Navarette. And his opponent on my right, fighting out of the red corner and wearing black trimmed with gold and red. He also weighed 151 pounds officially. And he has an outstanding record of 18 wins with only 1 defeat, 17 big wins coming by way of knockout. Fighting out of Toronto, Ontario, by way of Budapest, Hungary. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the hard-hitting NABA welterweight champion, Zsolt the Phenom Daranyi. Referee Mark Simmons to give his final instruction.
All right, boxers, we went over the instructions in the dress room. I want you to obey my commands at all times. Your shorts are good, touch gloves, good luck to the both of you.
Time now for our main event. Zsolt Daranyi Jr. fighting back home in Toronto. Johny Navarette, very familiar with the Canadian boxing scene. Trying to spoil the party for Daranyi here tonight. An emotional night for Daranyi as we begin round 1, set for 10.
And as much as it's emotional, Corey, at this level against a guy like Navarette, you got to put your emotions to the side, stick to the game plan that your coaches have told you and that you're going into the fight with, and not let this fight become emotional.
One thing that's kind of been consistent in Daranyi's career, Steve, has kind of been a lack of consistency, a lack of stability. You know, he's bounced around between a number of different managers and promoters and trainers. He spent time training with Lennox Lewis, training at his house. Then over the last few weeks, he's found a new home with the Grants in Montreal. So not a lot of time to add new things to his game, Steve, but at least some semblance of stability for Daranyi.
And when I was talking to him earlier, you mean these are the changes, and you mean you have to find your groove and find your way. I went through the same changes through promoters, managers, trainers, until I finally found my groove in Chris Johnson, and with Alan Tremblay and Ryan Sports. And then the skyrocket took off, the ship took off to the moon once we were all on the same team, the same page. And hopefully the same thing's going to happen with Zsolt. He has Gabe and Red Owl supporting him. Howard and Otis Grant's possibly the best trainers in the country. He has every reason to become a world champion at this point.
A lot of movement here from Daranyi in the early going. He said that would be key for him. He really chalked this fight up, Steve, to one of movement, not only because he says Navarette moves a lot less than he used to in his younger years, but he feels that Navarette's never faced someone who moves as well as he does.
I wouldn't go as far as saying as well as Zsolt does, but Zolt's got the right game plan. With those long arms, all he can do is just pull back and catch Navarette as he walks into the shot.
They're trying to bang away to the body, connects on a nice left hook. Navarette pushed off balance there. Daranyi showing a little bit of physicality here in the early going. Goes back downstairs, climbs the ladder, but that shot picked off by Daranyi. Seconds tick away here. A feel-out round for both fighters as our main event is underway.
Definitely a feel-out round for both fighters. I really feel that Navarette really let his hands go a lot more than I thought Zsolt did. But Zsolt is a very calculated man. He's been in this game a long time. He's calculating the distances, calculating things. And I know that's what he does. He's with me my whole professional career. We kind of box the same where, you know, eventually these guys are going to make mistakes. He knows Navarette's going to make a mistake eventually. He's going to jab him and slowly break him down and hit him with body shots. But he knows that he's going to make a mistake, and he's just setting up traps and letting Navarette walk in there as we see him just kind of pull back there. Jab, jab, jab.
Our fans here up close and personal at the Owl's Nest. Not a bad seat in the house here as they're enjoying our main event between Zsolt Daranyi and Johny Navarette. Navarette, the cousin of Emmanuel Navarette, the 3-division world champion, was one of the reasons that Emmanuel took up boxing in the first place, because Johny and Pedro Jr. took up the sport before him. The other family industry, the Navarette family, they all work construction as well. They all share the same nickname, Vaquero, the cowboy. They train up in the country in San Juan. Navarette trying to get back downstairs to the body. There's a left hook that gets through. Trying to find his range with the right hand. Just consistently jabbing to the body. Trying to set something up upstairs. Now he snaps a nice jab that connects on Navarette. Big swing there from Navarette, comes up short. From Daranyi. This is what he said he was going to do. He said he'd be able to walk Navarette into some hard counters eventually. He would use this movement.
And good head movement by Zsolt, moving back, and then he's moving back, rolling those shoulders, and a big left hook.
Yeah, he connected on 2 of those in that sequence. There's another one. As Navarette getting a little wild on the approach. Tries to come over the top of the right hand.
which is always a good move, especially against a tough veteran Mexican like Johny Navarette there.
Final 10 seconds here of round 2. Zsolt Daranyi starting to pick things up offensively, using Johny Navarette's aggression against him throughout that round.
Zsolt's on the outside, and he uses that long reach right there. That was a good right hand by Zsolt Daranyi. And just the distance and range that Zsolt can create there, and dropping away from shots with a check left hook. Good work from Zsolt Daranyi. The check left hooks, 2 of them back to back there.
Round 3 begins. You know, interesting, during his time training Zsolt Daranyi, former heavyweight champion Lennox Lewis said that one thing he worked to correct in Daranyi was trying to eliminate a degree of wildness that he had in his style. And I think we saw in round 2, it was Daranyi just allowing Navarette to be wild and then using that against him, finding those openings and capitalizing just like that.
Just like he did here, that short chopping right hand. Navarette came in wild and was swinging wild. It's the short shots, A to B will always get there before the wild looping shot.
Hard body shot there from Navarette. Navarette putting everything on some of these shots he's throwing right now. Trying to weave his way to the inside where he can uncork those hooks. Daranyi trying to catch him with something hard before he can get there.
He knows that Daranyi's backing up and always on the ropes. This is okay for him all night. He's a counter puncher by nature. He was a great boxer as an amateur and a counter puncher. So the more the shorter Navarette wants to walk in, swinging those wild shots, the more he's going to get picked apart by Zsolt Daranyi by vicious counter shots. Just like that right hand right there as Navarette was just walking forward with no punches.
Daranyi said that in the early rounds, this is what he wanted to do, is walk him into counters, and he feels that the movement will either lead to an opening where he can land a knockout shot or eventually frustrate and exhaust Navarette for the later rounds.
And so far, that's exactly what has happened. As he gets hit with some clean counters from Zsolt Daranyi.
Daranyi's corner asking for body shots, but it's Navarette who's letting those go. Good shot to the body. Misses with that right hand. Navarette not as fleet of foot as he was in his earlier years, but very hard to deter him and back him up as you see Navarette get ripped with a right hand and come right back. That'll do it for round 3.
That was a lot better round from Zsolt Daranyi. I felt that his defense was on. He made Navarette miss, and then he made him pay with those long right hands. Back to the highlights again. That jab is posting Navarette, not giving him the official chance to let go of his shots. some work on the inside, but nothing was landing clean for Navarette. And Zsolt, with that long reach, is catching him with a beautiful counter right hand there.
Round 4 begins. We mentioned some of the instability in the career of Zsolt Daranyi previously, but one thing has definitely been true. He has been able to test himself against some of the best in the division in the gym. He spent a long time training in Philadelphia under Bozy Ennis, of course, the father of Jaron Boots Ennis, and he said that he felt that spending some time in the ring with Boots, that he was on his level.
And Boots is a banger, as we've seen in some of his fights. I mean, he can bang and he can throw down.
There's a good right hand from Daranyi. Another good shot from Daranyi, as Daranyi now starting to allow Navarette a little bit closer to him, starting to close the distance willingly on Daranyi's part.
Willingly, because Daranyi's feeling a lot more comfortable in how much power Navarette has left, and a lot more confidence letting his shots go, because he knows when he counters, he can hit Navarette.
It's almost like in baseball, when you get comfortable, you can let the ball travel a little further into the zone, right?
That is correct. Oh, and a big
hard right
chopping
hand. Good shot there from Daranyi. Daranyi's corner is still very cognizant of the threat in front of them. They're telling him, you're playing around with him, don't do that.
You hear Howard Grant begging or asking Zsolt Daranyi to not forget the body, and that's very sound advice against a tough Mexican, and especially to grow into a world champion, Corey. You know as well as I do, body and head are just as important to hit.
Well, I think you know a little more about becoming world champion than I do. Navarette goes to the body there with the left hook. Daranyi kind of posting with a jab there, and Navarette found an opening. Inside the final minute here of round 4, as Navarette really starting to swing away.
He landed a pretty hard right hand. Not that Zsolt was hurt, but he landed a clean right hand. And now he's got Zsolt moving into his right hand. That's not a way Zsolt wants to be moving.
I mentioned the sparring that Daranyi's had over the last little while. Well, of course, Johny Navarette, the best sparring you can ask for with cousin Emmanuel day after day. The Vaquero Boxing Club in San Juan, which he also helps operate. Navarette a little bit off balance, but just continues throwing. Continuing to pose a threat to Zsolt Daranyi.
The story of this fight has been, the length and the boxing ability of Zsolt Daranyi. He landed a beautiful right hand and uppercut there. There's another long right hand. When Zsolt Daranyi wants to box and let his hands go, there's nothing Navarette can do. Navarette's trying his best to get on the inside and land those punches, but Zolt's precision and boxing IQ is just a little bit too much for Navarette at this point. Ryan Wagner, undefeated fighter from Orangeville, Ontario, in the crowd here tonight.
Zsolt Daranyi trying to build his momentum here in the 5th round. Navarette had some signs of life in round 4, landed a couple of shots. You see a little nick, a little bit of swelling underneath the right eye of Zsolt Daranyi. Proof that he's in a fight here in our main event. Navarette had just 4 weeks to prepare for this fight. Frankly, That's more than he often has for a lot of his fights. Of course, when you're working at the boxing gym every day, there's some degree of readiness at all times. You have the kind of career of Johny Navarette as well. One thing that Daranyi said he's added to his game, Steve, is a little bit more upper body movement. He says that he's kind of added a little bit more of that to his rhythm in the ring, and that it's helped him disguise his punches a little better as he's raining chopping right hands in right now.
And he has, and I noticed that early in the rounds too, and you're absolutely right, Corey. And it makes you a lot more elusive and harder for your opponent to see. When your body's always in motion, it's a lot easier to let those shots go as it is from throwing them from a standstill position. And even if we see right here, he's just nice and relaxed, nice and loose. And Navarette can't see when those shots are going to be coming.
Daranyi kind of following the script that he had laid out for this fight, which was around the halfway point. Maybe he'd start putting on a little bit more pressure. Now you see Daranyi starting to step to Navarette. Left hook there from Daranyi. Corner of Daranyi asking him to go to the body. We haven't seen him build a consistent body attack as of yet in this fight.
And you can hear the frustration in Howard's voice as he continues to ask for his fighter to go to the body.
And referee Mark Simmons warning Daranyi for a shot behind the head. One of those chopping right hands straying a little bit wayward. And that'll do it for round 5.
I gotta agree with Howard though, Corey. I mean, I think a lot more body work would slow these wild bursts of energy from Johny Navarette and make it a lot easier for Zsolt to post him on the ropes and land those 3-4 punch combinations. As we see some action here, Zsolt landing the overhand right a little bit behind the head. And Navarette, there's nothing really offensively threatening he can really do to Zsolt Daranyi. So I'm in agreement with Howard Grant when Howard's begging and pleading for Zsolt to touch the body, because I really feel that'll make a difference in this bout as we go further along with this fight.
Round 6 begins. Our main event between Zsolt Daranyi Jr. and Johny Navarette. Corey Erdman and Steve Molitor on the call for you here tonight at the Red Owl Performance Center, the Owl's Nest in Brampton, Ontario. A state-of-the-art facility here in Brampton. Really constructed for hosting fight nights, but also is just a tremendous place to train as well. I've had a chance to spend some time here over the last several days. Good combination there from Daranyi.
Oh, and a beautiful right hand.
Navarette trying to get to the inside. Navarette has been stopped 5 times in his career, so he is extremely tough. He is extremely durable. But
oh, and a beautiful,
look at that.
A beautiful body shot. What Howard Grant has been calling for all night has put an end to this fight.
That is
no way
it.
Navarette's going to get up. It was a beautiful left hook to the liver, and that is it.
A one-punch body shot knockout from Zsolt Daranyi, and Howard Grant gets his wish.
One and done.
What a shot from Daranyi, and Navarette still on his knees on the canvas, saliva pouring out of his mouth right now. That is a nasty, nasty body shot knockout.
I'm pretty sure it was a left hook to the liver as Navarette jumped in. Zsolt threw the left hook to the liver, and it doesn't matter how many sit-ups you do, when you get hit with that sort of body shot, boom! There's nothing you can do, and it's an automatic 10 count. And that's a wrap and a great finish for Zsolt Daranyi, who listened to the mastermind, Howard Grant, who was pleading for the body shot.
Well, let's take another look at that one.
He had beautiful defense there, and he listened to Howard Grant and ripped the left hook in between punches when Navarette was throwing them.
Zsolt Daranyi found the shot he was looking for. And as he promised, he eventually walked Navarette into something. He saw those openings on film. Howard Grant was seeing them maybe a little bit faster than he was, but take a look at this. They don't come any prettier than that.
To the liver, and like I said, Corey, you can do 1,000 sit-ups a day. You take that, there's nothing you can do. And hats off to Howard Grant, who was pleading with his fighter, Zsolt Daranyi, to throw it over and over. And finally, when it landed, that was a wrap, son.
Yeah, there's no ab routine that Men's Health can sell you that will prepare you for that one.
There's no liver shot defense whatsoever.
What a shot from Zsolt Daranyi. On an emotional night for him, he picks up the knockout victory. And we'll try and listen in here as Daranyi speaking to Navarette right now. A sign of respect from Daranyi to Navarette. We're ready to make this one official. Let's send it up to David Neiman.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 1 minute 17 seconds of the 6th round. Referee Mark Simmons reaches the count of 10, declaring your winner by way of knockout, Zsolt the Phenom Daranyi.
So Zsolt Daranyi improves to 19-1 in his pro career, and perhaps the prettiest knockout victory of his career thus far as we take a look back at the action from our main event.
And for the most part, Corey, Zsolt did what he wanted. He kept Navarette at the end of his punches. Navarette did do his best to get in close and throw some of those choppy shots, but it was the jab and the dominant jab that broke Navarette down. And finally, when Zsolt decided to listen to Howard Grant and rip that left hook to the body, there was nothing that Johny Navarette could do to withstand that beautiful left hook to the liver. And Zsolt Daranyi now goes to 19-1 with 18 KOs. And he has a bright future ahead of him, and there's still lots left in the year. I'm curious to see what Gabriel and his team have set ahead for him for the rest of this year.
We'll take one more look at the knockout in just a few moments. And Howard Grant, in speaking to him before the fight, I asked him, you know, what is Daranyi's power like? And he looked at me dead in the eyes. He said, it is real. Johny Navarette certainly felt that here tonight. We're going to hear from the winner. Let's send it back up to George Nassios.
We're here with your winner, Zsolt Daranyi Jr. It's been a bit. Yeah, you had an injury, you couldn't do your last fight, almost 8 months since your last fight. How did that feel?
Listen, first off, I need to say something very, very important. It's very important, everybody. Look, I need to thank my Lord and Savior and have a quick little testimony. I shouldn't have performed the way I did today. I shouldn't have. You know, there's so many things I can say, a whole list of what happened the last couple months. And the truth is, I shouldn't have been able to perform the way I did. But because of my Lord and Savior, I am nothing without him. I am who I am because of him. My Lord and Savior is a good God. And I'm telling you right now, that I'm nothing without him. This performance is all because of him. It is what it is. And, you know, it puts in, you know, 8 months I've been out, you know, injury. And, again, I had a lot of stuff going on. I only had 2 weeks of sparring preparation for this fight. And I come in here and I did what I did. You know, at the end of the day, there's so much stuff that I need to improve on. I know that I did wrong today. But, again, I performed the way I did. I'm very impressed by myself, thanks to my God.
Now, one really impressive part of the fight is that knockout blow, and you knew it. You were kind of signaling it's over right after it. How did you know? Did you just feel like it hit him right on point?
He was coming in and I countered him, and you know the whole time I was waiting for that counter because I knew he's open to it, and I just need to get my timing right. I wasn't getting my timing right, and you know he's awkward, so I seen everything coming, but again it was just awkward, and there was a little bit of ring rust, I believe, and once I started feeling a little bit more comfortable in there, you know my coaches were telling me to go to the body from the round one, but I caught him right when he's coming in. And he's obviously wasn't flexing, and I caught him right in the liver clean. And when I hit him and he went down, and the way I felt the punch landed, I knew if he gets up, he's hurt. So, and then when I seen him there counting at 5, I seen how hurt he is. I knew he's not getting up.
Now, I know you didn't need any extra motivation, and I don't know how much you want to get into this, but this is a special day for you, special anniversary. I know you got a lot of people to thank, but you're probably thinking of one person in particular right now.
You know, it's a touching moment, this day for me. And, you know, I don't want to get all emotional, but this is the day my sister passed 4 years ago. So today's a special day for my little sister, you know. God turned this day around, and, you know, it was a sad day for my whole family, March 11th, a day after my birthday, and the last, you know, 3 years were very hard for me. So this was a special day for me because I want to turn it around and show everybody, you know, my family, show everybody here that God is good, and, you know, she's up in heaven, and this fight was for her, and she's in a good place, and, you know, we're all healed from this, so.
I know she's somewhere up above smiling at what you just did. Now, I'll give the floor to you. Anybody else you want to thank? I know you went through some stuff, but anybody else you want to talk about and thank before we sign off?
There's a lot of people I want to thank. You know, my wife, she's amazing. I miss my family, my wife, my 4 kids, Romello, Jeanette, Zsoltika, and Emmanuel. You know, I miss them. I haven't seen them for 3 weeks now, and I can't wait to go home. So big thanks to them. My wife is amazing. She does a great job with the kids while I'm not home. You know, I thank my dad for being here. I thank all my family, my mom and dad, you know, everybody in, you know, my team. I want to thank the Grant brothers for being here. You know, I've been working with them for 3 weeks now, and, you know, they did a great job. I'm very thankful, and I want to thank Gabe, you know, putting on this show and everything that he's done for me, Sam as well, and the whole Red Owl team. I want to thank everybody. And, you know, I want to thank Steve Hayden as well. I want to thank Lennox Lewis. You know, I'm very grateful for everybody who's been a part of my career. You know, even my old sponsor, Denny, I want to thank him. In amateurs, he's done so much for me. You know, I want to thank everybody that's here. My family, my brother's here. He can finally be here this time. My nephews, my niece, my sister-in-law, my father-in-law is here as well. My brother-in-law. You know, I'm very grateful for everyone who came out here. I thank everybody who's a part of me, and I thank everybody for supporting me. I want to thank the Hungarian Tegledi Church in Hungary, the Faith Church. You know, they've been praying for me, and they've been doing so much for me, and I'm very grateful for that church, and I can have people to connect with. I thank everybody. Bless everybody.
And we thank you for another great performance, and happy belated birthday. Your winner again, Zsolt Daranyi.
That he wanted, the ending that he wanted, and frankly, Steve, the ending that he predicted as well. He kind of laid out a script for this fight, which was spend those early rounds trying to gauge Navarette, trying to walk him into counters, and then towards the middle rounds and towards the latter rounds, find that perfect shot, and he did exactly that.
And to hear his coach of only 2 weeks, Howard Grant, to hear his voice in the crowd, because Howard was calling for 2 rounds, to pick that out and whip that left hook to the body. I mean, congrats to Zsolt and his team. Howard, Grant, Otis Grant are great people. Zsolt has a very strong team behind him with Gabriel Fanous and Steve Fanous. The future's bright for Zsolt Daranyi, and I can't wait to see what's next for him.
As we take a look back at some of the action from tonight, we open things up with Emzar Yashvili and Justin Grant. Yashvili using that high-octane offense as Justin Grant tried to maneuver his way around. A very exciting way to open our card here tonight.
It was a great fight. I was very impressed with Justin Grant. Also, Yashvili's will to come back and win. It was a great fight and a great way to open up the crowd.
But of course, Mo Zawadi got perhaps more than he bargained for against Jesus Arriaga. Still a victory, a learning experience for Mo Zawadi, but he was pressed by Arriaga in each and every round.
It definitely was a learning experience for Mo Zawadi. I think Mo has a lot of growing up to do in this sense, where he's got to learn that you can't just go out there and one-punch these guys. There's going to be tough guys like Area who are going to stick around and fight and push you to your limits.
It wouldn't be a night of boxing with a little bit of scoring controversy, as Mathusin Mahinda is held to a draw by Arturo Avila, who certainly put up a good effort, but Mahinda, we felt, deserved the victory in that one. Nick Fantuzzi and Kenny Cherry put on an exciting 168-pound matchup. Nick Fantuzzi nearly getting the buzzer beater knockout with seconds remaining in this one. And then, of course, our main event, Zsolt Daranyi Jr., a beautiful left hook knockout to put an exclamation point on our night here tonight. Steve, it was a fantastic night, and my first time calling a fight here in the Owl's Nest. I hope the first of many more.
I hope the first of many more, too. Gabriel and Steve Fanous have such a heart and passion for the sport of boxing. It was great to sit here with you tonight, Corey. I'm a big fan of yours, and hopefully we can do it again in the near future.
So long, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all at the fights.